Well, good afternoon, everybody, or evening, depending upon where you are. It's Patty Henderson, the Math Marketing Manager for Pearson here with you to welcome you to our Mathology.ca Overview webinar. I'm also going to introduce you now to my co-panelist or my co-host, Kim Master Martino, who is going to be monitoring chat tonight. Do you want to say a quick hello, Kim?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for spending some time with us tonight. We're so excited that you're here. And Patty's got a lot of great things to show you. And if you have any questions along the way, just type them in the chat. Some of them I'll answer as we go. And if I don't answer them as we go, we'll have an answering time and question time at the end of Patty's showing you all this great stuff.
Thanks, Kim. And as you mentioned, listen mode only. You might have seen this pop up. You're viewing my screen right now, but I have a feeling there's a lot of people in the building I live in. I'm downtown Toronto, high-rise building with Wi-Fi that has been getting worse by the day. There could be some people doing Zoom webinars just like me or watching Netflix at the moment. So I'm hoping that we will have a good experience tonight, but I have been getting notifications that the internet is a bit slow, so we will proceed with caution tonight. Really appreciate you being here, and just know that you will receive a recording of this webinar over the next couple days as well. When we started this webinar series and started playing for about a month ago, our world looked a lot different, and the purpose of this webinar looked a lot different. Today we're going to maybe take a bit of a turn to help support you with some online learning. One of the first things I thought I would share with you is that we understand that there are some unique challenges to teaching from home. As you can see, Scott here is sharing that teaching from home, they said, it'd be fun, they said. We've seen a lot of pictures like this, and we're all living through this together. So we do recognize this is extraordinary times, and we can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. So we know that you have some challenges as you go. We have heard throughout this past week or two that another one of the challenges can be finding some good curriculum-focused, age and developmentally appropriate, engaging, grab-and-go resources that are also parent-friendly. And so that will be the lens through which we take a look at Mathology.ca this evening. But before we go deep, I thought I would take a step back. For those of you who may have come to this webinar and not knowing the big picture about Mathology. Mathology is a K-8 print and digital math set of resources that engages students while building math confidence and a growth mindset. It's been carefully researched and co-developed by math educators across Canada. And so this is a picture that you see that contains Mathology. I mentioned it's K-8 currently, and what we're looking at today is K-2. I noticed that there are some folks that signed up today that might be junior and intermediate. You may want to stay just to see what the platform looks like, because Mathology.ca will be going up the grades, but immediately for the next little while, this is a K-2 resource. So I just thought I'd give you that heads up. Mathology in general has a variety of pieces to it. When we first started looking at creating a new set of resources for math, we did a lot of research first and got a lot of help from some of our great professional learning authors. So if you take a look at the bottom left-hand corner, you may see some titles there that you've already used before, such as Taking Shape or What to Look For, or elementary and middle school mathematics, or even teaching math with meaning. Those resources are there to support teachers as they're teaching early math. On top of that, you'll see another two resources. One's called Mathematics Success for All, and that is a white paper that we did probably about 3 years ago now on the academic research that we compiled as we were thinking about doing publishing a new math resource. And so that academic research really informed how we came up with our resources for the classroom. The piece that I really want to highlight here, it's purple, it's in the middle, and it's the Pearson Mathematics Learning Progression. It's our developmental continuum of math understanding. It was developed with the hope to really support teachers knowing where their students are and where your next steps might be. And so that has been the foundation for Mathology, and you'll see it play out in Mathology.ca. So that is our foundation, the professional learning and support for teachers. When you look over on the right-hand side at the top, all of that built and informed our student and classroom resources. So at the top, we have currently grades 1 to 3 activity kits, and each grade has over 100 engaging games that are designed to support student understanding in math. We also have 72 K-3 fiction and nonfiction math little books and teacher's guides, and those are designed to engage students while building early math skills and vocabulary. In the middle, the heart of Mathology is Mathology.ca. It's our online hub for Mathology. It helps streamline searching, planning, teaching, assessing, and tracking, as well as professional learning all in one convenient place. So that's the big picture of Mathology. When we dig a bit deeper and overview what we're going to look at tonight, Mathology.ca currently contains over 200 carefully curated K-2 lessons. They are curriculum focused, and you'll see that, developmentally appropriate, very engaging, perfect for at-home and online use, and supported by short professional learning how-to videos. So in the top left-hand corner, you'll see Mathology little books. We have some read-alouds that we'll share with you today. On the right-hand side at the top, we'll talk to you a little bit more about ready-made weekly, monthly, and yearly lesson plans. Just below that are the fun activity and math games from the activity kits. And those are supported by how-to videos for professional learning just in time. And right beside that are also our shareable, editable worksheets for extra practice or show what you know. So that's what's inside Mathology.ca. And we know that over the next couple of weeks, you may have some really specific asks for some of these pieces of Mathology.ca and how they might actually work on whether you have D2L or a Google Classroom and things like that. Know that we will likely have to follow up with you over the coming week. We're just taking a look at all of these resources and how we can help support you in this new setting. But we'll make a few suggestions today and know that we'll follow up with you on what that might look like. So the goal for today's webinar is an overview of Mathology.ca. We're not going to look at every feature today. We may down the line, but today we're going to focus on a few things that we think might help you, such as how to find great lessons efficiently through search. We're going to take a look at it and the anatomy of a lesson using a math little book and an activity. We're going to talk about some ideas that we think, as of today, that might help you for online learning in that environment. And we are going to look at some ready-made plans that help students revisit key skills from early in the year while everyone gets used to teaching and learning from home. We know this is a new environment for all of us, and we're scrambling. We're scrambling along with you to make sure that we can support you in the best way possible. So we will take a look at Mathology.ca through that lens on about things that we think may be able to help you over the coming weeks. So I thought I would take you for a walk through Mathology.ca. And before I go, Kim, is there anything that I need to address before we continue?
No, I think you're good. We've just had a couple new people pop in, so hopefully you just continue on from where we're at. But in the meantime, if you can pop your name into the chat pod and just make sure that your button, you've clicked it and it says all panelists and attendees.
Thanks, Kim, and welcome everybody. So what we're looking at right now is the dashboard or the home screen for Mathology.ca. And we know that currently teachers are going online and looking for some really great lessons and resources that you can use that have a curriculum focus, that are developmentally appropriate. And you need a way to tame that fire hose because there's a lot out there right now. And so we wanted to walk you through Mathology.ca and show you the types of lessons we have that might support you there. And the first thing that you need to be able to do is to search for lessons even within Mathology.ca. So you can see across the middle, there's a search button. It looks a lot like a Google search. And I'm just going to go in there because one of the first things you can do is actually search by keyword. So if I type in addition and hit search, you'll see that there are 129 results found for addition across grades K to 2. So I'm going to just scroll down so you can see that there's lots of lessons here. And your first thought would be, oh, great, lots there, that's important, but I really need to narrow that search down even further. And so across the top, we have a variety of filters that help you narrow your search down. So the first search filter you can do is by grade, K, 1, and 2. So if I hit grade 2, there's quite a few still. If I look at grade 1, there are 18 for addition. And at K, there are 2. I'm going to go back to grade 1. You can also search by type. I mentioned the types of things that you would find in Mathology.ca. We have activities. We have activities that help consolidate student understanding. We have little books, and we have some activities that support intervention. And so you can narrow your search down even further. So maybe we want a grade 1 little book that looks at addition, and you'll see there are 7 results. So already we have tamed that fire hose of information. And one further way you can look at it is also by strand. I would guess that there's a large number by number, but maybe there's some for patterning. No, there isn't. And so that's another way of narrowing down that search specifically by keyword. I'm going to go back to the top, and you can see I'm scrolling over search results and just hit the back arrow. And one other way I'm going to show you how to search that's really important right now is to search by curriculum. And so that button is right here. So I'm going to click on that. I know we have a variety of folks across Canada with us tonight, so thank you for joining us. The version of Mathology.ca that I'm in today, we have a different version for every province, and it's because you need to be able to search by your curriculum and find what you need. I'm in the Ontario one, but know that if you choose to do a trial of Mathology.ca or purchase it, it is every province has its own version with your curriculum in it. So I'm going to show you what looking for resources are by curriculum. So you can see we have currently we have grade 1 and grade 2 in here. So if I stay with grade 1, across the top, you'll see the current 5 strands in Ontario. That may change in the future, but currently we have 5, and I'm on number sense and numeration. Directly under that, you'll see the overall expectations from the curriculum, and that's a drop-down menu. So if you hit the drop-down, and I scroll up, you'll see the specific expectations for the curriculum. And beside each specific expectation, there is a little search button here. If I click on that, you'll see the lessons that support that specific expectation. So you can see there's quite a bit for that first one. So that's a great way of searching. I'm going to go back for a minute and look at grade 2. And maybe we'll go into measurement. And so you can see there's 2 overall expectations. Another drop-down menu, and you can, again, find lessons that support that as well. So that's a really great way of narrowing down the search and finding exactly what you need that supports your curriculum. The next thing that I'm going to do for you today is walk you through what a lesson looks like. And I'm going to take a look at a math little book for grade 2 and an activity for grade 2 today. So right down below the search, you'll see Paddling the River. That's a math little book. I'm going to click on that. And when you get into a math little book, you'll see that there is a lesson here. There is an about, there's another bucket here for details, and another one for related resources. So I'm just going to walk you through what you can find in each one of those. So under about, you'll see the about for this book. You'll see what grade it is, as well as what strand. If you need reading level, you'll see that the guided reading level is there, and that's the Fountas and Pinnell reading level. So that is there as well. The math focus, so for Paddling the River, we're looking at counting, comparing, and ordering to 20, also composing and decomposing to 20. Just below that, your curriculum. And at the very bottom, I talked briefly about the learning progression, and that's the foundation upon which all the math little books and the activities have been built. It's our developmental continuum of math understanding. And this is where you get to see which big ideas from the curriculum are being unpacked in this little book. And so you can see here that we're unpacking numbers are related in many ways. And we have two concepts that are being unpacked in this little book: comparing and orders quantities to 10 and decomposing quantities to 10. So that's exactly where that lies on the continuum. Under details, this is where you get to see a little bit more information about the story that you're about to read. And you can also get a read aloud version of this math little book. So I'm going to click on that. So when we have a read aloud version, you have as I said, a read and listen version, as well as a try this activity. So I'm going to show you both. We'll go into read and listen first. And we'll read, I'll have one of the pages read aloud.
I get in our canoe slowly. My sister watches me. Then she does the same. We push off and start to paddle. What will we see on this long and winding river?
So it's really handy, especially for parents at home with their children. These read alouds, and I'll explain a little bit later on that we have a parent connection with the read aloud books, but they also work great in an online learning environment as well. We also have try this activity. This is a fun activity that supports paddling the river. And again, we have the option for this activity for it to be read aloud. I'm hovering over the read aloud portion.
Which group has more? Look at the counters below. Which group has more counters?
So that's a handy feature. You may be wondering what type of support is there for this activity for both teachers and parents to know what's happening in this activity. On the right-hand side, you'll see teacher and parent notes. I'm going to click on that. And you can see there are some quick notes there about what this activity is asking you to do and asking the children to do. And it is quite fun. So it's nice having both a read aloud version of Paddling the River as well as a short activity that you can do with this little book. Underneath that little book, you can see that we also have provided some nice information on the first read on how to introduce the book as well. And now I'm going to go to related resources. There's a small section on after you read, but the piece that most teachers are really pleased with and glad that we have these are we have additional activity options. And see, these are our line masters for this math little book. You can see there's quite a few, there's 12. There's assessment masters here. There's a connecting home and school letter template that you have here as a PDF or Word that you can send home. And you may want to modify it, so the Word version might be the one that you want. Go back to the beginning. We have a story template, for instance, as well, in PDF and Word, as well as a solving problems one.
And so Patty, if I can mention too, that these are all available in a PDF, and so you can upload them anywhere you need them. And then the benefit too, a lot of them are very simple line masters, so they just need to be shown on a screen, and kids can make their own story. They can staple 5 pieces of paper together. They don't necessarily have to print this out, or even the word problems. They can be shown on a screen without necessarily having to print everything.
Thank you, Kim. And that's a nice segue into what we've added at the very top of this page. You'll see in blue, it says K-1 lessons for the little book in English and in French. So I am actually going to click for more info. What we did probably about, I don't know, this must have been March break-ish, I think, when we realized we really needed to help support parents at home and teachers who are parents at home. We have a large number of resources that are available for access over the next, I'd say, 60 to 90 days. We have Mathology for sure, and I'll show you what that looks like. We also have Math Makes Sense access as well, that's here. But for the Mathology little books, how do students and parents get access to these little books at home? Because what I'm showing you here today, Mathology.ca, is primarily a teacher tool, but you want those students and the parents to have these books in their hands. And so, as you can see here, we have on the parent side, Mathology little books in both English and French. If I click on that, you'll see English here as well as French. And as I scroll down, every week we're adding 2 more math little books. So at the beginning I mentioned we have 72 math little books from K to 3 in English and in French. And so right now, as of today, we have 5 math little books per grade. So I'm just going to scroll down so you can see we have them for kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, as well as grade 3. And Kim, I'm going to do a shout out to you. Kim's done a lot of work around providing parent info that is easy for them to use in support of these math little books. So I'm going to click on the parent info for a warm, cozy nest.
Yeah, so the parent letter really is for parent home learning. It is in parent-friendly language. It's with things that they have around the house.
Love the math, Matt.
Lots of fun things with just little pieces of things. They can recreate the 5 birds in the nest activity. And so, Patty, can you talk about both English and French version?
Sure. Let me get back to. Here we go. So why don't we click on French and see what happens. So here we are, the same math little books that are in French. And so when we started developing the math little books, our first attempt at doing the math little books, we had them translated for French immersion. And our multitudinous of field test teachers said to us, they need to be easier and easier for the students to access. And so we went back to the drawing board and actually did adaptations for each one of these math little books, knowing that we don't want the language to get in the way of students doing math. And so these are the same math little books with the same types of activities with the lesson as well. So that's really important and I think quite helpful. I think that's where you wanted me to go, Kim?
Yep, that's great, thanks.
Excellent. So that was covering the math little books that are in Mathology. I'm going to take a look now at an activity. And here we're looking at addition and subtraction. And much like the math little books, every lesson for the activities look pretty similar. Across the top, you'll have an about, which we'll walk through, the details of the lesson, assessment, as well as related resources. So under about, this is going to look very familiar. You'll see what the lesson is about. Here we've provided some content background, understanding that not all early elementary teachers are math specialists, so that content background is really helpful. The focus for this activity, as well as the curriculum. And at the bottom, again, the big idea that from the learning progression, we're looking at quantities and numbers can be added and subtracted to determine how many or how much. And you can see that there's also 2 concepts being unpacked in this activity. So it's a really rich activity around that big idea. In details, this is where you see your lesson. So at the very top, you'll see a strand from the curriculum, the materials that you need for this lesson, and those non-masters that we pointed out for the math little books, we have them as well for the activities, and they are embedded right on this lesson. So again, in PDF and in Word. So you can see there's a 10 frame here, as well as a part whole mat, and as well as some assessment and story problems and things like that. So lots of ideas here on how to support teachers and students with that online learning using these materials. The lesson itself, 3-part lesson. On the left-hand side, you'll see the instructions, the before, what to do during, as well as how to differentiate, and some great ideas there. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see consolidation, what to highlight for students, as well as those what to look for as you're doing this activity. Across the bottom, you'll see probing questions, and particularly in this new setting, these questions I think will be helpful to understand what students are thinking as they're doing this activity. These probing questions I think will really help. As we scroll down, you'll see you also have some images from the activity kits that you may want to make use of and project. And so I'm actually going to, let's get onto the, there's a 10 frame, as well as that part whole mat. And one of the activities actually completed, which I think is quite helpful as well. And that you can print. I mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, we're still looking at right now ways in which you can use these materials in whatever platform that you'll be using over the next week or two, or however long this situation may last. So know that you may have some specific questions around the things I'm showing you, and we'll need to get back to you in our follow-up on exactly how you can use these different pieces in your setting. So know that we're working really hard on getting that figured out to help you. So we've had these questions in our last two webinars, so we know exactly what you might be asking, and we'll help you with that. One of the things I also wanted to share with you, I'm personally a learner that loves to read. So if I am on the internet, I will read something versus watching a video. But I'm not the only person that does that, but a lot of people would prefer to watch a video and get that information in a different way. And so we have actually, for each one of these activities, created something that's called a learning highlights video. You'll see it's under on the right-hand side under professional learning. We wanted to create some short videos that help support teachers as you're or before you're doing this activity, to understand what the activity is about, why you're doing it, and what you might see and hear the students do. So I'm going to play one of the videos right now. And when you watch this video, you may be wondering about counters and what to do at home. I know you don't have access to your MINIPs right now, but maybe think about macaroni, buttons, any type of thing that you might be able to find around the house that would make a good counter. So here's the video that supports this activity. Turn it up a bit.
Let's take a look at this problem. Last year, I ordered 25 ribbons for field day. This year, I want to order 11 more. How many ribbons should I order? Students may start with modeling the problem using linking cubes, then draw ribbons on the think board. They then represent the problem with an addition sentence. 25 plus 11 equals 36. Some students may immediately know how to write and solve the addition sentence. However, these students may struggle to explain their thinking. You may need to ask prompting questions to help them explain their thinking. These students could also benefit from seeing how others represent the problem using pictures or concrete materials and number sentences. To consolidate, have students share the strategies they use to add the quantities. Help them see that there are multiple ways to show, model, and solve the problem. For those students who require additional support on creating and solving story problems, refer to Intervention Activity 12.
You can see that's a short video for you, the teacher, to understand what this activity might be about. Now, the last piece I'm going to share with you under this lesson is related resources. And know that there are some great extension mini lessons that help support students with further activities, either whether they're on grade. You just heard about the intervention lesson. So if I click on that, you can see it's really short, great for this, and you can print these out. You're going to see a lot of opportunity to print some of these, and I think that'll be helpful in the days to come. You can see that the material list is here as well in PDF and Word. As I scroll down, we have a section here on possible misconceptions and what to do. Ideas for next step in class. As you know, this was developed for our norm. This might not be the place you want to go, but Next Steps at Home is another place that you can go to help support parents at home, and know that these can be printed as well. There are word walls as well as related lessons. And so in that video, we talked about having an intervention lesson, and this is that intervention lesson right there, right at point of use. So that's a quick walk through the Math Little books and the activity lessons. The last piece of the puzzle I'm going to share with you today is how to plan using Mathology.ca. So at the very top, you'll see a button that I'm scrolling over and hovering over called Plan. We have most recent plan and all plans. Today we're going to look at all plans. And we know in the coming weeks, I think everyone's going to be scrambling just a bit, trying to know where to go next. So perhaps planning is not as important, but knowing how to plan with Mathology.ca I think will help over the coming weeks, because we've actually created for you some plans that may support teachers as they're looking specifically for supporting students in the coming weeks. So when you think about what it's going to be like in the coming weeks, it may be easier to have some purposeful practice to revisit some of the key learnings from this year and support students in something that they're more comfortable with as you get more comfortable with the setting. And so Kim, I'm going to do a shout out to you as well, created some really great plans that I'm going to show you today. So I'm keeping this really specific to the types of plans we've built for you already, knowing that there's lots here that will support you as you grow with Mathology.ca. So I'm going to first of all take a look at grade 1. So in the grade 1 purposeful practice plan, that's a mouthful for me. On the left-hand side, you will see we have some ideas for lessons for it looks like roughly 6 weeks here. So this may take you to the end. We're not sure, but we'll see how this goes with some lessons that will support that purposeful practice. So composing and decomposing is here, counting and number, repeated patterns, operational fluency, skip counting, and more operational fluency. So those the plans that we have built in here, and to the right of that, you'll see the actual lessons that support that plan. We talked earlier today about paddling the river. It is here. You may want to write a comment about what you love about this book. There's a spot to write comments as well. And we have some activity lessons here as well.
So Patty, can you just quickly show how they actually use that plan? So they need to click the green button to say use this plan. Oh, because this is my plan and I built it in Ontario, it just assumes it's my plan. But when you see this in your free subscription, there might be a little green button on the top right that says use this plan. And that allows you, once you click that, then that allows you to actually manipulate. You might not want certain activities, you can take them out, you can move them around. So if for some reason you say, I can't move mine, there's just a green button, and you're copying that plan into your own portfolio.
And I'm moving them around a bit with arrows right now, Kim, so you can do a bit of modification here as well. And the other piece I think that everyone's appreciated when we showed this to them at the top, my top right, you can see a button here with 3 dots. When you click on that, perhaps not at this point in time, the curriculum coverage is not important, but down the line, if you're doing a yearly plan and building your own, that curriculum coverage and understanding where the gaps might be is really important. Something super practical is a materials list that can be printed based on these lessons. And for those of you who are trying this together or have this Mathology.ca already, you can now share your plans. And so it's great for co-teaching. And if you need to, you can also export the plan. I'm going to go back for a minute because that was grade 1. For anyone who's in grade 2, Kim has also created a grade 2 plan. Same idea here. We have roughly 6 weeks of plans here that you can make use of. And I would just recommend taking a look at each one of these and see where you might be at with this. But again, you have a chance to write comments, move these up and down, and share them as well. So that's planning. And I'm going to do one more thing just so you can get a sense down the road. We have lots of sample plans here. So we've created 2 that are going to get everyone through this next little piece of time that we're together. But know that we've also created weekly plans as well as long-range plans for the year. We know that when a new resource is adopted, it's a big learning curve, and sometimes you want these things created for you so that you can just get up and start using it. Know that you also have the opportunity to create your own plans once you get used to this, and you can also bring in anything that has a URL. So you might have some really great ideas already in Google that you want to bring in, and you can modify it as well. We just wanted to give everyone a chance to try it over the next couple of weeks and have that plan already built in. And I'm going to go back home for one last piece of the puzzle. You can see that on this dashboard, there are 3 pieces below here. And I think you may have seen me click on them to make it really easy to find what I wanted to show with you today. You have a chance. We have lots of lessons in here. You can pin your favorite math little book. You can pin your favorite activity, as well as your plan to this front. It kind of replicates your desktop when you come in for a day and you have the 3 things you need most right at hand. This is a great way of grabbing things and going. And so you can pin these at any time for your home screen. So that was a really fast walkthrough of Mathology.ca, looking at some of the things that we think will be useful to you in the coming weeks. So I'm going to do a quick wrap up here. Just as a reminder, we are focusing everyone in on what you need for now. Know that it's a really rich resource. At grade 1 currently, we have over 100 lessons from the activity kit. We have 34 math little books that take a look at kindergarten to grade 1. That learning progression is in there, as well as those 100 plus professional learning videos. I showed you one small one. There's 100 in there, 1 for every lesson. And at grade 2, we have even more lessons from the activity kit, 185 in there, 20 of the math little books for grade 2, as well as the learning progression, of course, and more professional learning videos. Down the road, we will have grade 3 in the fall, and I'll show you in a minute what grade 3 is going to look like. And know that 4 through 8 is coming soon. We're working really hard on that. Everyone always asks me, what does it cost? I'm going to tell you right now, you have 90-day access, and I'll show you how to get that. But down the road, when things get back to normal, Mathology.ca is $140 per teacher for a 1-year subscription, and we also have a 5-year as well. What you should also know is that every year we're adding a new grade to Mathology.ca. You don't have to buy again. You will have access to every grade in there. So it's going to be great for combined grades down the road. I mentioned 90-day access. Some of you might have already started this. Some of you may be interested in trying Mathology.ca. This is the best way to do it. So I'm going to hang on to this screen for a second if you need to write this down. This is how you get to sign up for the 90-day access for Mathology.ca. This gives you a chance to try the lessons we talked about today and more. And I'm now going to move to the next screen. Coming soon. So I did tell you that grade 3 is coming. So those of you who might be on the line for grade 3, you'll see Mathology.ca in the center. We have 18 fiction and nonfiction math little books. They exist now, and we're working on getting them into Mathology.ca. But know that you have math little books available at grade 3, and I think you saw it on that parent portal. So they are there. Top right-hand corner, we will be doing a grade 3 activity kit with even more engaging games and activities that will support student understanding in math. And just below that, you'll see something called Math Mats. These encourage growth mindset and risk-taking in math with over 30 right-on, wipe-off math mats per student. So we have some really good things coming down the road when things hopefully get back to a little bit back to normal. So that's grade 3. I wanted to leave you with a couple of things here. You as a teacher, you need to remember you're not alone. If anyone here is on Twitter, it has been a really helpful thing over the past little while. It's always been helpful, but particularly now, teachers are helping teachers and sharing some of their best practices, whether it's what to do with technology, how to do a Zoom video. There's some really great things there. So I put 4 hashtags that I have found useful to help support teachers with online or remote learning and teaching. So those are there. I did pull off from Twitter on the weekend that great Dr. Seuss saying about teaching now in Zoom. And you can also follow us on Twitter, and you can see our handle there is at Pearson Canada K-12. We'll continue to update our Twitter feed and share things that are useful to you. So this is looking at you as a teacher. The last thing I wanted to share with you is just looking at you as a person. In these times, we all have to remember we're human beings, we're parents, and when we're moving so fast, it's often hard to remember to take care of ourselves. And so we have a wonderful artist in residence at Pearson. Her name's Soyeon Kim. She's wonderful. She works with me in math, but she's also an artist. And I asked her to take a look at some of the tips that are out there around things that you should think about while working from home. And she drew this very hastily over the weekend. Some good things in there. I have to tell you, the workout piece, I have a kettlebell beside me, and I've been using it quite a bit. The healthy treats will come, I'm sure. And today I totally forgot to make a lunch, so I will be having supper soon. So those are some self-care tips for you. Remember to take care of yourself throughout all of this. So we've reached the end of our time together. Kim, are there any questions that you haven't been able to cover in chat that we need to work on now?
I think I've been able to answer them, but I'm wondering if you can go back to the website of the open sources where the little books are at. Just because, it's the same books, but they're located in 2 places. So currently the math little books, children and parents have access to the ones that are loaded into that free site currently. When it's in print, and there is an online digital aspect when they're purchased. But right now we felt it was important that both parents and teachers have access to these books. And so what we've done is every week, we started this a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 books will be added per grade, and they will remain up while we are teaching from home. So this is where the parents can access it, the online little game can access through here. In Mathology.ca as a teacher, you have access to all the little books from kindergarten to grade 2. Those are all in there right now, and you can use them at any time by sharing your screen and using them that way. And then in Mathology.ca is where the line masters reside for teachers. So I think that kind of helps settle, where things are actually located. Is there any other questions that anyone has at this point?
And what I'm going to do while you're there, Kim, is I'm going to pull up the place to go if you do have more questions. We have some fantastic Pearson folks across Canada who are looking forward to talking to people and figuring out how we can help further. And so these are your local Pearson reps. You can see the districts or provinces above and the name down below. So I'm going to leave this screen up so you can jot down either their cell number or their email address, and they can certainly help you further.